Hello and welcome to British English with Alexander. Have you been off? Have you been away for quite a long time recently? Because I was addressing some personal problems of mine. But I promise, uh, the start of this year, 2024, I'm gonna be publishing at the minimum weekly videos, if not at every 2 or 3 day new videos for you English learners, English lovers, so that you can improve your vocabulary and your English, so that you can read fluence in your success in terms of English. I mean to be successful. So today we're gonna be reading, and I want you to follow me along this news article from UK News, from BBC News, which the abbreviation for the British Broadcasting Corporation. Okay, so here today we're going to be talking about a news article which about the Ukraine war with Russia. Okay, so let's start the reading, and I want you to try following me with the reading so you can understand how English is written in a way but is spoken differently. Okay, so let's get started. Here we go. So you can follow me here. Sunak vows to vows that Ukraine will never be alone as he pledges 2.5 billion pounds package. This article has been published 19 hours ago, as you can see on the article. And here we go. We have comments, but we're gonna talk about that. War in Ukraine. This is a problem that we've been all aware of, but let's go into that. Number 10, or Downing Street. This is the name referred to the address where the Prime Minister lives. So here we have Rishi Sunak met Volodymyr Zelensky at the presidential palace in Kiev. By James Landau, diplomatic correspondent in Kiev, BBC News. So here we go. Rishi Sunak has vowed that Ukraine will never be alone as the UK announced 2.5 billion pounds of military aid to Ukraine over the coming year. It is the UK's largest annual commitment since Russia's full invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. The PM, sorry about that, the PM, the Prime Minister, made the announcement as he met President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kiev and signed the new agreement. Mr. Sunak Mr. Sunak said that the support was vital because if Vladimir Putin wins in Ukraine, he will not stop there.
Shut up, dog.
Sorry again about that. Officials said the package will provide Ukraine with long-range missiles, air defense and artillery shells. Some 200 million pounds will be spent on drones. They said the military package for the next financial year beginning in April would result in the largest delivery of drones, most of which will be UK made, to Ukraine by any country. Significantly, the Prime Minister has decided not to make a financial commitment lasting several years. Some ministers and senior military figures had argued privately this would send a stronger signal to Moscow of Britain's long-term support. Instead, Mr. Sunak has chosen to spend £2 million more than the last 2 years, when the UK's sorry again, it's been kind of difficult, complicated, but we're gonna go on with that. Instead, Mr. Sunak has chosen to spend £200 million more than the last 2 years, when the UK's annual military commitment to Ukraine was worth £2.3 billion. Downing Street said the package of support would form the first step in what it called an unshakable 100-year partnership between Ukraine and the UK. It will also include £18 million for humanitarian aid, help fortifying Ukraine's energy infrastructure, and more funding for online English language training. Armed Forces Minister James Heappey told the BBC Breakfast that drones will give Ukraine an advantage over the coming years. He said they are drones that are being developed at pace, learning all of the lessons from what we've seen in Ukraine over the last 2 years. He added the funding shows the UK is maintaining its leadership position in Europe as the second biggest donor to Ukraine. The writers, the two leaders met wounded war veterans at a hospital in Kiev, as we can see from the image. During his visit, the Prime Minister met with Mr. Zelensky at the presidential palace and also met emergency services and the residents of Kiev. Mr. Sunak, who last visited Ukraine 15 months ago in November 2022, said, "I'm here today with one message. The UK will also not falter. We will stand with Ukraine in the darkest hours and in better times to come." The UK is already one of Ukraine's closest partners because we recognize their security is our security, he added. Today, we are going further, increasing our military aid, delivering thousands of cutting-edge drones, and signing a historic new security agreement to provide Ukraine with the assurances it needs for the long term. For 2 years, Ukraine has fought with great courage to repel a brutal Russian invasion. They are still fighting, unfaltering in their determination to defend their country and defend the principles of freedom and democracy. When asked by BBC News if the UK should have instead announced a multi-year package of funding, the Prime Minister pointed to the UK being the first ally to sign a long-term security agreement with Ukraine. It sends a strong signal to Putin and others that we're here to stay, he said. We're here to support Ukraine in the long term. Mr. Zelensky hailed Mr. Sunak's personal leadership and said the agreement would lay the groundwork for our further work with our other partners. The UK-Ukraine agreement comprises a raft of bilateral assurances of military and economic support, designed to deter Russian aggression before Ukraine joins NATO. Uh, Sorry, there's a moment about that. Okay. Officials said the UK is the first G7 country to sign such a pact, which all seven leading industrial nations promised to do at the NATO summit in Vilnius last year. UK commitment comes after months of pressure from MPs, who argued the government should have given Ukraine greater clarity much earlier so it could develop its military planning. It also comes as both the United States and the European Union struggle to agree their own package of support, with Ukraine in desperate need of more shells and missiles. Mr. Sunak said he was confident allies will come together to continue to support Ukraine. In the US, Republicans are blocking a $60 billion or 47 billion pounds package of support for Ukraine in an attempt to increase spending on tackling migration along America's southern border. And in the EU, the European Union, Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban has blocked 60 billion euros or 43 billion pound support package for Ukraine in a funding row with Brussels. Okay, so I've just finished reading that BBC News article, and just like to emphasize that it is an impressive, a really effective way of improving vocabulary uh, in English, because reading and studying English through the news inside a context is really an effective way for improvement. That's the only way possible for you to increase your vocabulary and understand how English is written in a way and spoken in another. By the way, now I'd like to urge you to subscribe to the channel, to share it with your friends and indicate it so that I could potentially continue be publishing new videos showing ways to improve your own English and bring it to the next level. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll be publishing I'll be publishing again every week videos besides the time that I've been apart, so that you can improve that. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I wish you all the best. Thank you so much. Cheers.